Okay, here we are.
Oh.
See something in your locker?
Yeah. My Vivaldi music.
Oh, you can go get it.
Okay.
You got a few minutes.
Okay.
Now you go to the restroom and you can go get that. Good morning. Okay, let's try to get comfortable. You may have to move your chair so we're facing like more towards me. Yeah. go through our little system very quick. And I think for you what's important is the one that's at the tip, because that's going to give you a more precise look, idea of how you're sitting, the chair, and the end pin, and all that. Because if you can't reach the A string at the tip, then you're doing it wrong, right? So what we're trying to do is, especially for you, to get to the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your chair, so there's a lot of consistencies that you're going to have because of the chair. So you only got to do it a couple times to know, right? Now, and then we did talk about the lower end pin, right?
Yes. I'm bringing it towards me more, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's.
I just wonder, with this little system here, if you, does that make it farther away?
No, it does bring it closer because I've like played with the end pin and seeing how it just it goes more further away. The thing is like I feel like I'm reaching for it. That's like, and like once it's like in this position, I just think I just have to get used to having my arm more extended. Because like I have the bad habit of playing up here in the fingerboard.
Well, it's easier for everybody. It's true.
Yeah. So I'm just like.
So just reach to the tip. There you go.
I guess it also like it's harder on the bridge for me.
Yeah.
Than
it just seems to me that if we've tried it before, but I don't know, we haven't really gotten to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let go of the end pin totally, and then you just, I'll hold it, and you can hold it a little bit with your left hand. I'll do the bowing thing. And let's put it where it feels like you could reach better. Is that better? Closer to you. Now, remember that here are the things to think about. Is it comfortable for the tip of the bow near the bridge on the A string? 2, what about your left hand? Because sometimes it could be comfortable, but maybe your left hand's way up here, or like your left hand playing bass. But if it's a combination of things that make you feel like, okay, I could live with this, right? And of course, female anatomy does get in the way in some cases. Yeah. So like if it's too high because you rather have it here, then your arm's too high. If it's too low, then you can't reach with your bow, right? So you have to kind of come to a compromise. Everybody has to feel. But in a way that looks a lot more comfortable. You're not stretching as much. Now twist angle it so that the A string is twisted this way. Now try. Well, that's also a little helpful. Now, if you're primarily on the C string, you could twist back normally this way. But when you're on the A string, put your left knee behind the C bout there.
I think it's also very difficult to get used to this because, like, in orchestra, we have limited amount of space. And I remember like being in orchestra, and since Ethan is very long, so he was always in my way. So since I brought my cello more out that way, that meant like my bow was always hitting him, and then like I have to see the music, so I have to like also adjust in that scenario. So.
Well, unlike high school, I think we have more space on our stage, and sometimes in high school we just don't understand these things, but cellists, we need our space. So you need to just create your
adjust.
space.
Yeah.
And you know, we could talk to Dr. Sesteta and just say, look, maybe we could put Ethan somewhere else.
But David's my stand partner, so it's better now. But like before, we're always hitting each other.
Yeah. Well, David, he's a shorter guy, so it's helpful.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know, you have to you're getting there early anyway, so just create your space, and everybody will just have to adjust. I adjust to whoever's next to me, a violist, to whoever. Sometimes that happens.
Oh, that is really low.
It's very short, but you know, it's a lot closer. So you can even make it a little bit higher, like closer, and it's going to be higher. See? Try it.
Oh, like
yeah, like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
I like it better.
Yeah. So you know, but it's a lot shorter. All right. Let's do this one. Ready, go. Just stretch. Let's do it again. Don't worry about the rhythm. Just stretch. Do it again by yourself. Keep going and just stretch. I feel like you're waiting for the string. Don't worry about the rhythm. Even don't worry about the sound. Just worry about the stretching, and you figure out what your body's capable of. Go. Someone says, you know, I'm just going to keep doing this like motion, and if you get in the way, it's your fault because I punched you or whatever. Right? So what you want to do is just you want to stretch, and if it happens to touch the string, great, but don't anticipate, don't even think about the timing, just feel where the string is, stretch out.
This piece has made me realize I'm like, and it's mainly A and D where I realize I'm like, because it's not smooth, and I'm always like, I never understood why doesn't this sound smooth, and it's because my bow crossings are not that great.
Oh yeah, right. Just stretch out, and you're gonna find the timing that is your body stretching. So yeah, maybe if you have to stretch more up. A little faster, but don't think about the rhythm. Think about the stretch. Go, 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 go. Yeah. See, look at your arm. Don't look at the strings. Again, just look at your arm stretching out. Okay, now do it from the A string down.
I just feel like it's so awkward.
Don't expect anything.
Yeah.
Just go back in reverse. There we go. Just keep going, keep going. Keep going. Don't worry about the rhythm. Just go up, 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 up. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Little pizzicato bow. Ready? And. Now here's a new one for you. Place your bow near the tip. And I want you to do some rowboats. Don't go too close to the front bridge. No, on the G string.
Okay.
So the rowboats, pretend you're rowing. Go forward and back. Like twist. Now feel like you're twisting into the string. Now wiggle. Do it again. Rowboat and then up bow. Rowboat. Yeah. D string. A string rowboat. It really helps at the tip. No. No, really get that. You don't have to go all the way to the tip. I like that you're doing all the way to the tip, but if you wanted to, you could be about 3/4 of the way.
Okay, this is where this is an issue, I guess, because my it's so low that my leg is in the way.
Right.
Okay.
can also raise the right side a little bit higher. Yeah, that way.
Okay.
There you go. Even better bits. Okay, remember the string crossing, and you want to feel like you're doing a little more circles, a little more ellipticals. Watch me. Stand up. Use your back. Sit down. Ready, set. You like you're playing the bass. It's okay to move a little bit. Now sit down. On your back. Stand up. You feel your back is working when you stand up?
Yeah.
So if you're practicing and you feel something's not right, I feel kind of stiff, stand up and just, especially open strings, engage your back, because what's happening is that you're not engaging your back. But you notice it sounded better too. Okay, next, let's do these harmonics. But I want to throw in that first finger. We tried it before, but it's a little bit difficult. Now here's one way. Let's do a little preliminary exercise. Go to the first position. Play fourth finger on the D string, harmonic. Second finger on the G string.
Second finger on the.
Now, if you're perfect, you're gonna get first finger on the C string. Is gonna be the same harmonic. Good. So that's the first finger that we're looking for. Okay. So now let's play 4, 3, 2. Go over to the G. And then you play 4, 2 on the G. Then you come back to the C for 1. I'll help you. Ready?
Yeah, I was like, just
go.
yell at me.
3, 2.
Wow.
So you're stretching too much.
Yeah.
Go. You have too much space between 3 and 4. Go. And 2, 4, 2 on the G. Come across. Now do it again from the G to the D. 4, 2, 1. Good. Next one. 2. What about 2? What about the 1 on the D?
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
1 on the D. You didn't get it.
1 on.
That's not it. That's not it. Don't you? Did you figure it out?
I just blanked. I thought I was doing right.
No, you did it right before, but you didn't realize what the note was. Now,
Sorry.
see? Play 2 on the string above. You should match. Too far. There it is.
What the heck?
It's your bow.
Okay.
You just randomly bowing. What you have to do, Genesis, you have to feel the rub of the bow on the string. You don't just like randomly rub. You like feel the friction. Second finger is the wrong place. So first of all, that note is a good note, but it's not exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be aiming for the E that's in first position. And you're going to get an E that's like, well, I guess 2 or 3 octaves higher, this one. So where do these notes correspond? On the
It's
D string,
C.
it's like G, F sharp,
Yeah.
F natural.
Yeah.
So if you need to, think that. Go to the D string. No. So we're not on the A string yet. For what we want, meaning we're gonna have two strings, but on the A string you're only gonna have one string. Now go back to the D string. It's 4 3 2. Go across 4 2. Come back 1. You did it right twice in a row. I don't know why you can't remember. You gotta focus. Go. Now 4 2 across. Come back 1. Okay, wait. Don't laugh.
I'm not
Don't
laughing.
freak out. Can you analyze it? What note is that? Is it the same note that you're looking for? No.
No.
Is it lower or is it higher
It's
in pitch?
higher.
It's lower in
Oh.
pitch. So in this case, you have to go towards the nut. So your finger is in the wrong place, so it has to go this way.
Yeah.
Harmonics from the middle to the bridge are getting higher in pitch. From the middle to the nut are getting higher in pitch. It's a mirror image to the bridge from the middle and to the nut from the middle. Here's a D, the middle harmonic, right? The second. And then gets higher. And listen to this. Do you understand?
Yeah,
That's why no one is paying attention. I keep telling them
Okay.
and they don't understand it. They're just like, what is it? Use your brain.
Okay.
Okay? Put these things together. One thing leads to another. And this is what I'm trying to teach you. There are many things I want to teach you here. One, the position of your fingers in the first 4 positions could be taught through harmonics. And it's pretty accurate. There is an equal temperament and Pythagorean temperament. So as you get more experience, you'll be adjusting from these positions according to the temperament. Sometimes it's just intonation, and when you're playing in a string quartet or an ensemble that can tune this way, that's great. When you're tuning with a piano, you need to be more equal or Pythagorean, and that's where we basically live, in this equal or Pythagorean world. But anyway, these harmonics help us just identify a little more precisely where everything is. There's another benefit that because you're hearing the harmonics, you start to recognize the ringing tones that are being played simultaneously when you play in tune. Not just the note, like say you play C, like middle C, you can hear like a middle C ringing because of the harmonics on the string. But you may be able to hear a G or even an E, sometimes in a B flat, depending on where you are. The same thing with a D and A and G, but some other notes have ringing tones like B flat and E flat. So what I'm trying to do is like wake you up with these notes, so that by playing them, not only you have your positions, but it's like you're used to hearing them. Then when you play a regular note, you're going to want to hear that note, or you're going to recognize it when you're in tune, because a lot of times people don't recognize that they're in tune. Next is you got to play by the bridge, so it's going to train you. You're just complaining today. So now this is a perfect way, because if you don't play by the bridge or towards the bridge, then you won't hear it. And you notice that sometimes you had it, sometimes you didn't, and just because of the bow.
Okay.
So now, lastly, when you put your fingers down on it, it's not a feather touch, like super light, like 2%. It's more like 15 or 30, 20% of weight, pretending that there's like a telephone wire, like going from your house to the telephone pole, and there's a squirrel on that wire, right? It's not going all the way, but you can kind of tell that there's something on that wire, right? So that's what it is, like just a little squirrel on the wire. And then with the right hand, it's 100%. You want articulation, pizzicato bow. But try half bow, not full bow. So bow speed is a little less than you think. That will cause you to have more friction on the bow, on the string, more of that rub. That's a hard one. Now, A string, because we don't have an extra string, like an E string, we're going to just do 4, 3, 2, and play 2 twice and 1 twice. Now, here's what's important. If you play something that sounds like a regular arpeggio, like this, see? That's wrong.
Yeah.
It's the note right above it.
The way I check, because sometimes I look back at my videos and I'm like, okay, that's the right note, but also like you said, this is, I don't even know what note rings, but I know where my hand is supposed to be. Like, you're teaching us where our fingers are supposed to be when we play, so I just put, oh, B is around here, so
Yeah,
just
think
find
B.
it.
Yeah, think
So,
B. And from this second finger, that's an E harmonic, and B is how far from E when it goes up. What's the interval?
whole step. Wait.
E to B, what's that interval? Going up. Think, you're thinking too slow.
Yeah,
you should
I
know this
am.
like automatically.
Is it
It's a fifth, perfect
okay,
fifth.
so I'm over here thinking of piano.
Yeah, just think piano is fine. But I said going up. So going down is a perfect fourth, going up is a perfect fifth. So you want to recognize that it's a fifth. Here's a fifth. There's a Right. See?
So you're going from second finger to first finger, correct? So okay, it's the fifth part.
Now it messes up your brain because you're going this way.
Yeah.
And the pitch is going up. So it's
Okay.
also a little exercise for your brain.
Okay.
Okay, ringing tones. Go twice. Okay, now let's do 4, 3, 2, 1 game. Let's go fast. 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1 game.
Okay.
Remember how to do that? 4.
The C's, right?
4 C's, 3 C's, 2 C's.
Okay.
But repeat the bottom note. Go. 1. Count to 4.
I know.
Ready and. You have an issue that you need to work on. One is you like to, how can I explain it?
I panic. That's my
You panic,
problem.
and then you're like not even thinking.
Yeah.
You need to think ahead. This little game is going to really help you think ahead and train you to think ahead because there are 5 notes. You know where they are, and it's very simple: 4, 3, 2, 1. But when you repeat, you have to repeat it, right? Because think of it this way: then this note is being played less. I'm playing this one 4 times 4, 4, 4, 4. But then I'm going to play this one another 4 times. That's 8. This one I didn't play it 4 and 8 times, 8th time. And it just makes it even. Now, do it every day. It's not the most difficult one. And then we're going to add on. We're going to do the G's, and we're going to do the D's, and we're going to do the A's. And it's just a little trick, really. But it's about your brain. And I realized that all my students, even the little ones, that, you know, it's more about training your brain. Because your body can, you know, how many times have you just, I don't know, been awake and you're trying to do a paper, but then you can't even, like, spell. Right? And it's your brain that gets tired.
Yeah.
Your body can stay awake. You'll be like, I gotta do it. And then you're there for like an hour with like 2 sentences. You're like, I can't do it. I have 3 more pages. You understand? It's your brain that freaks out. So you gotta train your brain.
Yeah, I know.
Okay?
I've noticed that, because that's like something else I was gonna ask. Like, I don't even know how possible it is. I'm like, how do I learn faster? And I don't know if it's just the way I practice is what's hindering me from it. But like, I've gotten faster at learning because like I've gotten music and I've like learned it faster. Like before, like I wouldn't even be able to do Pop or 11 like even at a slow tempo in a week, and I was able to do it. And I was like, I don't know what I did, but I did
it. Here's
and
the issue that you're running into, and people don't consider this. Is that as you gain more knowledge and understanding of what sounds good, and then you start to become more dissatisfied with how you sound. So, you played before and you got through a popper and you played. I'm sure you would have gotten it okay, but now you realize there's a lot of problems. Yeah. Now, it's not anybody's fault. It just when I was 18. And I played something, I probably thought it sounded really great. And then I hear a video or I see it, or you know, if I would go back and hear me play, I would be like, man, there's so many problems. What's wrong with me? What I'm trying to say is that as we grow up in music, our ears get better. We hear things more clearly, but our hands, our brain, aren't caught up. So you were at a place where you learned. And like your ears and your hands, everything was equal, and it was good, because in a way it's kind of ignorance is bliss. But then when you started to realize that you could do better in sound, intonation, whatever, it's kind of a tough moment for everybody, myself included. I listened and I think, man, why didn't I practice more? Why it's like it happens to every level person. So don't worry that it's just you. Everybody has that problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's my problem because I make you guys understand this, and then it destroys you instead of help you.
No, like everything you've been doing so far, like for me personally, like it took me a while to understand as to why I was doing the things I did, but like now I'm like, oh, I'm over here like, why does this sound gross and nasty? And I just explained to you, oh, I need to work on my string crossings. Like everything is making sense. I just have to put in my effort, and and I think that's also the other issue. But like, and that was also another thing I was going to talk to you about. Like last week was not a great week for me.
For a lot of people.
I don't know if you saw. I was like I feel like Dr. Stein saw, because he walked with me and like I'm gonna cry. Like he gave me hugs, and like that meant a lot to me. And like it was just a very bad week for me mentally. And like, how do I talked to Sustain, I talked to Mackenzie. I'm like, I don't know how to practice, because like it's getting to the point where I can't even pick up my cello and practice. And I'm like, I know what I need to do. Like I need to do string crossings, but I can't even get to the cello to be able to do that. And so like how do I practice without practicing?
Well, there are a couple of ways. One, of course, if you have a schedule that you think it's workable, try to follow it. It's like taking a medication or taking some vitamin, just every day, or having a diet. If your doctor said, if you don't eat this apple, you're going to become a witch. And you're like, okay. Then you eat the apple every day. Or if, some people need a medication. It's like, take this medication, otherwise you're going to die. And sometimes it's very real. Sometimes you just need to take things for a year, and then you get off of it, and then you're recovered. Antibiotics, for example, when you have a really bad, people get Lyme disease or something, it's like, what are you going to do then? Just wait it out? No, you're going to take some medication. This is why we live in our modern society. Anyway, sometimes you got to get tough on yourself and just do it. As they say, bite the bullet. If you are having trouble with your schedule, think about what you could change. Maybe you're getting up too late. You're going to sleep too late. You're getting up too early. Maybe you could, there's whatever there is. Maybe there is like, something you could do like, okay, I'm going to finish everything by 8 p.m., for example, which means all your practice. Or maybe you like to practice in the morning. Maybe you're a good night practicer. Maybe you want to do like 2 times a day, a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening. If you haven't figured that out, you need to figure that out, because it could be very helpful. Sometimes if you're more depressed in a certain part of the day, maybe you should, and like say you're better in the morning, maybe you should do all your practice in the morning. Because if the longer you wait, maybe the worse it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that happens to a lot of us. It's like if we procrastinate, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the day, and you're so tired, it's not worth it. But some people have a lot of energy at night, and it's quieter in some way, because there's like less people hanging around. You've already done a bunch of stuff, and it's also quiet for your mind. So let's just say you have like 20 things to do, and then you're in the practice room and you're just thinking of those 20 things.
Yeah.
So maybe go do that you need to take care of, some homework, reading assignments, turn something in, return something, go pay a bill, call your mom, whatever it is that is on your list of things to do. Once you get down to that, okay, the last thing is cello, it's 8 p.m., I got time. Okay, that's cool. You see, I don't know what it is for you that makes you stop from practicing.
It's like the mental thing. Like, I don't know. Like last week, it's just being very hard on myself. That's my thing, and being in a positive mindset. That like telling myself even the act. I'm just tired, honestly. Like I understand everyone's tired, but like I think it's because last week was like a big break for me mentally in a way. Because like I said, I never let myself grieve, and like I actually allowed myself to grieve. And I'm
you felt like you had to be like mature and tough.
I was in robot mode, and then people were telling me like, no, you need to let it out. And so with that, and on top of transitioning here, it's been very difficult for me. And it's like, and then I end up getting frustrated because I was like, okay, I understand I need to feel sad, but I need to get on this, and it's very frustrating because I know what I need to do, but it's just very difficult to even take the first step. And like I know my plan, I see my plan in my head, but it's just making that first step it's what's really killing me. And like this week, like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be more positive, and I felt really good, and I feel really good. And like me and my boyfriend broke up too, so like that also added. We were like 5 years together, but so that
does he live in town?
No, he lives back at home, and so like that was also like a factor as to, but I'm like, I need to push through, and that's what I'm telling myself today. I'm like, I don't want to go to this lesson because I know I didn't practice as much as I should, but I'm gonna push through this lesson.
Well, thank you for coming.
I was like, I really don't want to go because I know I'm gonna disappoint him, but I'm gonna go anyway.
Good. Thank you for coming. But going back to your schedule, you're human and you're gonna have human emotions. Yeah. There are gonna be moments where it's just gonna be difficult. So in those moments, you have to just follow your schedule. You could shorten it, you could elongate it, whatever it is. But perhaps you have to think what I just said a couple minutes ago. If you have a list of things to do, just go do those things. Clear your schedule. If you still are bothered by these things while you're practicing, you're not going to practice well. While you're practicing, set yourself some simple goals. Like, okay, I'm going to make sure the first movement's totally learned. I'm going to play it with the metronome, at certain speed,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to record it, I'm going to listen to it, I'm going to take notes, and then I'm going to play tomorrow, practice it again tomorrow after I listen to it and read my notes. Make a real good plan for yourself.
Yeah.
Teachers make lesson plans for
Mm-hmm.
their classrooms. You need to make a practice plan for yourself. So
That-
you come
yeah.
in and you already know that you have these 5 things to practice. Then before you leave the practice room, you write down what you're going to practice tomorrow. That's going to be a really good guide, because there will be days where you don't want to practice, you're crying, you get depressed for whatever reason. Your ex-boyfriend's gonna call. It's like, oh, I just wanted to call you, and you're like, why'd you call me now?
That was yesterday.
And so these things happen, and then it just disturbs everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It just this life happens,
Yeah.
and so it's easy to say be tough, but it's better to say have a plan at least, because if you have a little plan, you can say, okay, I have a plan, and just try and follow it. An hour later, you're like, wow, I practiced, that's good.
Yeah.
You gotta go through it. Practicing is like going to a party, or being dragged to a party you don't want to go to, right? And so
Yeah.
at first you're like, why am I here? I don't know anybody. And you only know a friend, and but then after like in an hour, you're like, oh, everybody's kind of fun.
That is the perfect analogy, because I'm
Yeah.
always like, oh, I don't want to practice, but then when I sit down and actually do, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Exactly. So just write down a plan before you get in there, and when you leave, just write down a few notes of what you're going to do tomorrow. Just a few bullet points. 5 things. It doesn't have to be a lot. Okay, I need to practice all the scales on the G string. I need to learn arpeggios for this key. I need to learn, the second movement completely, and then you could say a sub point for that. I want to memorize the first section.
Okay.
Like, for example, now while you're practicing, I like to say get the technique of bite-sized morsels, like bite-sized parts. Like, okay, I'm just working on this measure. Put a timer on. Work on it for 5 minutes. Timer's off. Are you satisfied? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, put another timer. If it's no and maybe.
And okay, so I'm forming my plan in my head, because that is correct. I expect it to be, like you said, you were talking about lesson plans. You can't teach something, a whole topic in one day, and that's what I do to myself.
Yeah.
And that's my bad habit, is I expect to learn this whole page by the end of the day, and that's not how it works. You have to take it in chunks. And so now I'm just you're like, am I satisfied? I'm never gonna be satisfied, and this is where self-love comes in, because I'm I need to be positive about music and not negative, and that's the biggest issue in me. I'm
well, positive, negative.
Very
sometimes,
hard on myself.
Sometimes there's a lot of pressure to feel positive about something. So instead of thinking that, just think about your future self. Don't think about now. Think how you want you treat your future self. What do you want to give your future self? Your future self, do you want to give that future self grief, student loans? Do you want to give that future self a bunch of emotional baggage? No, right? So if you were to go 5-10 years in a future, and then meet that person and say, you know what? It's my fault. I gave you all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you happy that you're depressed and wish that you weren't here right now? And that future self is gonna look at you. It's like, I'm gonna kill you. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
So think about that. Your future self. Oh, I should have practiced more. Oh, I should have studied harder. That thing, I dwelled on it a little too long. It was not so important. We learn our lessons. I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Yeah.
But if you think about your future self, now it puts it in perspective. Now your future self is begging you, please do something, because I wish you could have, would have, should have. That is the problem that we all have. And then when we're in the practice room, we don't think about 10 years from now. We just think about now. And very rarely does a person think about the future. If you started when you were 18, saving, a certain amount of money, and they have these calculators, and like if you started saving an amount of money, like when you're 40, like 5,000 a month, and then when you're like 18 and you only save 500 a month, you would have much more when you retire than the person that was 40. And so if you do that, take that logic and just talk about just hard work and some taking care of yourself kind of thing. It helps too for the future. We don't think that it's an investment, but it is. So think about that. Now we should. You want to show me a little bit of this Vivaldi? We didn't do our scale today, but the last step, of course, is to scale for your thing. So make sure you got your scale down. Alrighty. You have any questions about it?
No, but no, I got it.
Are you reading fingerings? Or are
no,
you reading?
I'm reading the notes.
Okay.
Okay. Whoop it. Okay. I'm sorry. I keep reading bass clef. My brain is not here today. I'm sorry.
Make that last up, down. Just whatever you do, the pickup is up. Last note is down. Next is there are some like in the beginning you have 3 E's. So E and then E. Can you play those 3 E's? Just don't worry about those. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the
One more
that's
time.
not
Keep working on it. Make it cleaner sounding. Also, your finger should be before your bow. Finger. Think ahead. Finger, then bow. You're playing your finger down with your bow. I'm always giving you a good example. Lift your bow if you have to.
Ah.
Again.
Okay. I do it at the same time.
Lift your bow if you have
Okay.
to. So what's wrong with the A string?
It's flat.
Okay, fix it. Again, ready. Press together.
Oh, no.
What if you started with both fingers down? Just try.
Okay.
So let's put into context. So go from the beginning. Yeah, go.
I do it at the same time, right? I don't.
Okay, so that's something to practice. So,
Okay.
but do it again, and let's see if you get those 3 notes in tune. You're skipping a rest.
Yeah.
So, see? Lift the bow. It's okay. Now, let's try the following. Can you play open? And F. Put your finger down first. So now, let's practice E, G sharp.
Break it down again, I'm sorry.
E to G sharp. Left before right. So now. Go ahead.
Okay. I was doing different fingerings.
What? I don't care. Just
Okay.
I just want you to practice that spot.
It was starts with the F, E, G, B, C, correct?
No, it's not with E.
Wait, am I on the wrong? This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Put 4 on there. 4.
Okay. That was the.
So, let's play the bottom here. And play this. Match them. Do it again. Are you satisfied with that?
No.
Okay, do it again until it feels good. Yeah, that's
Okay.
better. So what I'm trying to do here is teach you how to extrapolate ideas or notes, maybe something that's like a theme or a motive, and it's repeated. You need to practice that. And
Yeah.
so this is what I call the bite-sized morsels. It's like, oh, I need these, all the 3 E's should be in tune. These G sharps should be the same, etc. the other thing is play the music. You're playing it like it's a doctor's exam or something. You like don't want to do it. You know, make it like interesting.
Yeah,
It's not complicated the way maybe even a Brahms sonata melody would be, even though Brahms and things strove to try to be clear as well. It's not so complicated. So if it sounds like it should be a little bit more forward and kind of assertive, you know. Play it that way, then play it like it's searching. You understand? Play like you're like searching for something. You see my string crossing? That's my thumb.
Yeah, and yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, all the things we're thinking about and we've been practicing in the 7 steps and all the other stuff that we've been working on, and if you would go back to your videos, you would see a lot of information there that you don't have to be like, oh, what do I do now? Because I've been teaching you everything that you need for this piece to go through in just one day and know it. So we have to do this week, let's do your practice log. It's important. Oops. So the practice log is every day, and you're gonna. It's basically it's before and after your practice. Meaning, before your practice, like right now, you could write down what you're gonna practice, and then as soon as you finish practicing, before you leave the practice room, you write down what you'll practice tomorrow. So it's basically the same after you practice, but you got to start sometime. So start before your practice. And then before your practice, you read your log, and if you want to add something to it, that's fine. Like, they just say Dr. Sestatus, like, cellos, you got to look at this part, you know, and then you remember, you know, it's okay, you can adapt it. But generally, you want to make sure you get it done. Okay. And so next week, Vivaldi movements 1 and 2. Okay. All right. Thank you.